It's a Times Now exclusive as we expose the Banda files. Shocking details of child sex abuse. The historic order coming in from the POCSO court in UP ordering death sentence to pedophiles. The details of the case are shocking. 33 boys sexually abused over 10 years. Minors who were stripped had their photos clicked and the child sex content being sold to foreigners. The court has now said that there is no room whatsoever for any reformation. So let's get you all of the details. Viewers, what we are going to show you now is going to make your blood boil. The story is as shocking as it is gruesome. The Banda files, a special POCSO court in Banda in UP has sentenced a couple to death for repeated sexual abuse of not one or two but 33 minor boys. Yes, viewers, 33 minors from poor families were sexually assaulted by 50-year-old Ram Bhavan, a serial pedophile, and his wife Durgavati, who actively supported him in the heinous crime. In the order, the judge, in fact, described this case as a rarest of rare, observing that there was no room for any reformation. Times Now has learnt that the CBI had managed to confiscate a pen drive that contained 34 videos and 679 photos of child sex abuse material that was seized from the couple, which was then sold to foreign subscribers. The couple, in fact, operated this racket over the last 10 years, where children were told to strip naked and send photos and videos of themselves to the couple. All of this in exchange for money. The situation got to a point where these children were then asked to also send such photos and videos of their friends. And if they wouldn't, they would then be blackmailed to have their own photos and videos leaked to the public. These photos and videos were then sold to subscribers. These subscribers were in Russia, the Netherlands, and even Pakistan. One minor had even testified that he was sexually abused at the accused house thrice in Chitrakoot, where he was forced and asking his friend as well to undress and also have his photos clicked. Later, he was also forced to do the same with his younger brothers as well. The CBI, in its statement, also mentioned that these survivors are suffering from deep psychological trauma caused by the predators who ran this racket for 10 long years, unnoticed until now. But let's now get you the timeline of the case. Let's take a look at how it unfolded in a period of 10 years and how it went unnoticed. It was in October 2020 where the CBI had first filed the FIR in the case. And by 2021, the CBI filed a charge sheet in the case. And in February 2026, of course, is when the death sentence has come in with, like we mentioned, the court saying very clearly that there is no room for any reformation at all. But let's talk about the macabre details, the chilling details that will have you shocked. Here is actually what the CBI found in the probe. Let's get you the details of what the CBI has said in the charge sheet. The couple had sold graphic sexual abuse material on the dark web. So this sexual abuse material being saved and then sold to the dark web. Then they used 3 different email addresses. Both the husband and wife were using different email addresses, and they sold these graphic videos and pictures to residents outside the country, to foreigners from Russia, from Netherlands, multiple countries. And these subscribers were located in as many as 43 countries. In fact, they targeted in particular children from the economically weaker families, and what they would give them is money in exchange for their photos. This trauma led to the survivors also developing squint eye. Many of the survivors talking about the kind of trauma that they went through. But how did the couple actually manage this? Let's talk about the modus operandi of these monsters. What did they do and how did they lure these kids from the economically weaker sections? What they would tell them is that in exchange for this material, including their photos, the couple would lure them with money. They would provide them money and food. These young boys were even given some gifts, including mobile phones. And they would lure these innocents with online games. Times Now's Adeep gets us a report from Chitrakoot in UP, where the monster couple lived. Take a look.
In a landmark judgment, the special court in Banda on 20th of February gave death sentence to a junior engineer Ram Bhavan and his wife Durgavati. The court termed the case as the rarest of the rare, in which the junior engineer, the accused junior engineer Ram Bhavan and his wife Durgavati, they used to live in Chitrakoot and in Banda, and they targeted around 33 minor boys. They sexually exploited these minor boys. Times Now is right now in the Chitrakoot. This is the SDM colony, and in the visuals, the house which you can see, this was the rented accommodation on the first floor of this particular house. The junior engineer, he rented this entire accommodation, although he was given the government allocated house in right here in Chitrakoot, but he rented this place to operate from this particular place, so that no one would get a hint as to what he is doing at his place, and to lure these minor boys, all these minor boys who were subject to brutality. They were between the age of 3 to 18. Over a period of 6 years, the CBI investigated the case. They made the arrest. The charge sheet was filed by the CBI, and on 20th of February 2026, last week, the special POCSO court in Banda gave death sentence to the couple and termed the case as rarest of the rare. So this is the location where the crime most of the time took place, and in this particular rented house, the couple, they exploited around 33 minor boys at this very location. Video journalist Vishal Verma, Adeep Walter, Times Now, Chitrakoot.
My colleagues Bhavtosh Singh, Priyank Tripathi and Adeep Walter are joining us on the broadcast, and Adeep just got you the report from the spot. Now, you saw what it looked like. The couple, their photos are on the screens. They look like just another couple. Their house in a very residential area. It looked like everything was normal. Little did people know that there was something so sinister that was taking place at the residence. And from 2010 to 2020, Bhavtosh, the CBI took over the case, filing an FIR in 2020, and by 2021 they also filed a charge sheet. Some very, very chilling details also being revealed by the CBI. Take us through the details.
Well, as far as CBI is concerned, they in fact visited the scene of crime, and what they found is something which is very macabre. They found that this house, or the rented accommodation, had web cameras, and he had in fact purchased 10 mobile phones, 3 laptops, and also he was gifting them PlayStation. Now, CBI's charge sheet has some very gruesome details which we can't share with our viewers, but what they had said is that he in fact had groomed many young boys, and they were the ones who in fact were looking for various victims, and these victims were then asked to find other victims. Some of the survivors in fact lured their own younger brothers and also other relatives, and this is how the chain was established. Now, one can say that over a period of time he found several victims, or at least he managed to find these victims. Now, but what is most shocking as far as this case is concerned is selling these CSAMs, or child sexual abuse material, on dark web. 43 countries or users were found over a period of 10 years from various countries, including Russian Federation, Colombia, as well as in New Zealand. CBI had approached Interpol. Some of these accused were in fact found out. Importantly, CBI also wrote to Google as well as to Microsoft. There were active 95 email IDs that were found. It was an organized international racket that was being run from Chitrakoot as well as from Banda. The investigation in this case continues. One can say it was a very big racket that was being run by a couple that one can't even imagine that was being run from Chitrakoot and Banda.
Okay, all right. So this abuse went on for an entire decade. And Bhavtosh mentioned some of the details. I'll come to you in Priyank in just a moment. But let's also tell our viewers the revelations that were found by the CBI. And these are extremely chilling revelations. The couple was childless, and the main accused in the case was attracted to minor children. The couple initially had bought 10 mobile phones and 2 laptops, all of it being used for this operation. Bhavtosh also made a mention of over 95 email addresses that were being used by the couple. They had 10 mobile phones as well as 2 laptops as well. And also the minors were sexually abused, and all of it being recorded on mobile phones and digital devices. In fact, Times Now's Adeeb also gets us another report from that very location, from Chitrakoot in UP, where the monster couple lived. Take a look.
The accused Ram Bhavan and his wife Durgavati, they used to lure students, especially minors, the minors aged between 3 to 18 from different schools in Chitrakoot and in Banda. Now, they used to lure these minors by promising them that they're going to give them mobile phones, they're going to give them video games, and through that, these students were lured, and then these students were sexually exploited. So this is one of the school in Chitrakoot Dham. We are not disclosing any location to prevent the identity of the minors in this case, as these minors, what the CBI says, that the minors, they have gone through an emotional period of time in which some of the minors, they were even hospitalized. They suffered some serious injuries, and they were hospitalized for a very long time, and they are still going under the psychological treatment.
So you saw the report from the ground. Well, Priyank, the details are extremely chilling. We also mentioned some of these details, and clearly the court was also shocked at the CBI investigations and the details of the case, awarding death sentence and also going on to say that there is no room whatsoever for any reform for the couple.
Yes, Adi Pratibha, as Bhavtosh has described to our viewers, that how it was an extensive investigation by the CBI. There is the second part of it, which is still being followed by the Central Bureau of Investigation, for which they have been awaiting the reply from Google, because all those 23 individual persons and the email ID, we don't know exactly they were individuals or they were the buyers of these kind of pornographic material, which is meant for the child pornography. Those individuals' email data trail can also lead to those receivers who have been receiving these pornographic material across the world. So this sort of dark web investigation is very important to be seen, although in the supplementary charge sheet these details have not come out, because generally it takes some time for the service provider and these servers operator to give the reply to the Indian law enforcing agency. But that is the next part of investigation. We know it for the fact that all those minors who are from the marginalized state of the society, those who have lost their parents, those who have been staying alone, or those who were somehow related to the accused, were exploited by these individuals. That's why these videos were made. But the end receiver is certainly something the next target for the Central Bureau of Investigation, which is being focused. If that is those email ID has been receiving emails from other IP addresses here in the national capital or any part of India, that can lead to another sort of investigation. So the internet-based investigation is still yet to be completed. But the court has found sufficient evidence, which was submitted by the CBI, to give life sentence to these monsters, the husband and wife, the couple, who have been sexually exploiting multiple children over the period of 10 years.
Absolutely. And in fact, Adeeb also visited the spot. And Adeeb, the question that comes to mind is, for 10 years this was going on, and it was in a residential area. How did it go unnoticed? What did you see when you went to the spot? Because for 10 years this was going on with not one person from the area knowing what was happening in the house.
Well, Pratibha, see, the accused Ram Bhavan and his wife Durgavati, they both rented an accommodation apart from their government residence, because this accused Ram Bhavan, he was a junior engineer in the irrigation department. He was allocated a government residence, but in order to maintain his secrecy while he was carrying out this heinous crime, he rented an accommodation in a colony in Chitrakoot, where he used to lure these small children. Now, to lure these kids, he said that he's going to get them mobile phones. Is going to give them video games. On pretext of that, he is invited these children at his rented accommodation and threatened them. He threatened them with their nude photographs. He said that if they are going to tell them any anyone about this. He's going to release these photographs. He's going to tell them about his to his friends, to his families, and in the society. And that's the main reason these children they did not tell anyone about the case, what was happening to them. But it is only then when the CBI registered the case, the first report that was lodged by the CBI in the year 2020, these details came to fore, and then the accused Ram Bhavan, he was arrested, and later on his wife Durgavati was arrested by the CBI. And now after 6 years, they both have been convicted, they both have been given death sentence by the court in Banda, and the Banda court has mentioned that this is the rarest of the rare case.
Okay, all right. And the wife Durgavati was also involved the entire time with her monster husband. Bhavtosh, how did the couple go unnoticed for so long, and what are the details of the materials being seized by them, by the officials?
Well, as far as this case is concerned, Pratibha, the initial tip-off was given by Interpol because they had busted a Telegram channel where many of the pedophiles were exchanging this CSAM, and CBI then carried out raids and searches in Chitrakoot where the couple were living. Now, the case was registered against Ram Bhavan, who was then working as a junior engineer in UP in the irrigation department. He was the first one to be arrested in this case. His questioning happened, but the CBI then started questioning the wife, Durgavati. She initially claimed innocence. But when the questioning actually happened of Durgavati, they realized that Durgavati was an active participant in the crime. She was in fact present in the house when Ram Bhavan was sexually assaulting these young minor boys. In fact, she was the one who in many cases lured these young boys. She was present in the room when these young boys were being sexually assaulted. She was very much aware of the fact that youngsters are being, or minor boys were being sexually assaulted. She was also the one who in fact sometimes blackmailed them, and she was also was aware of the fact that there was in fact an organized racket being operated from the house. Remember when the POCSO court gave this entire order, it said that there is no chance of any kind of reform that can happen, and gave death sentence and gave equal punishment to both the couple. That's the reason why CBI had asked for death sentence for the couple, and Durgavati was an active participant in the crime. The CBI has also said that there is a deep psychological impact for all the 33 minor boys. Some of the accused, some of the victims in this case, the survivors, are still in fact being given psychological treatment.
Okay.
Some of them are as young at that point of time when the crime happened, were as young as 7 to 8 years. There are some reports which we can't share because Priyanka, colleague, had accessed most of these reports. These reports run into thousands of pages, where it has been specifically mentioned that these youngsters were lured in some cases. He had in fact got access to the houses of these youngsters. So some of the details are very gory, very horrific, and
okay, all right. Bhavtosh, just a moment. In fact, we'll take these details from Priyanka as well. Before that, I want to also introduce Brinda Adige on the broadcast with us. Ms. Brinda Adige, the details are extremely chilling. Some of the minor boys, said to be about 7 to 8 years old, being lured by the couple, sexually assaulted, with the material being sold on dark web. Now, finally, they have been sentenced to death.
I am very glad that they have been sentenced to death, but I do hope that the courts and the police officials will be able to carry through with this execution. But before that, they continued with doing all of these things, because the community probably was not willing to listen to the children, or the kind of influence and power that the couple wielded. Two, how is it that not a single child was able to come out and speak about it, which also puts the blame and the responsibility on us as a society and as a community, where we have not allowed for children to come out and speak about these kind of things. We always, in our conventional mindset, do not want to listen to children, and we've made it look like children are the ones who must feel guilty and not the ones who are the sexual predators and the perpetrators. I hope that the court has also said that talking about this in schools and in colleges and in communities, we have a lot of schemes, but none of the schemes really follow through. We have a scheme where there is there is a vigilance committee where children can come and talk about this, where adults can talk about the awareness and telling them why it is important that they come and talk. But all of this has not resulted in these children being able to speak. Secondly, I want to raise the issue of digital India. We talk about a digital India, and we were not able to get across to the dark web that these people had access to. So I think it is time for our government to also ask, saying, while we put in a lot of money, taxpayers' money into the digitization of programs and mechanisms, where is the accountability? Where is the monitoring and the overseeing that this is happening? So we have all failed the children, and that is why we have now put the children through so much of trauma, and I think we need to hang our heads in shame.
Okay, all right. Thank you for joining us on the broadcast, Ms. Brinda Adige. We also have activist Rahul Ishwar on the broadcast with us. And Rahul Ishwar, some of these details are extremely chilling, as my colleagues have also been pointing out about minor boys being sexually abused over a period of 10 years, some of them as young as 7 to 8 years old. And this was a couple, the pictures on the screens. They have now been sentenced to death by the court, with the court saying that this is a rarest of rare case.
Yes, the POCSO court has termed it rarest of the rare, and such people, and they have even, according to reports, they have been systematically abusing children for over 10 years and 33 kids. So it's absolutely disgusting. We all, as a society, like Brinda Adige said, should hang our heads in shame. And such horrific incident should not happen, and we should take some systemic measures for it. And this is absolutely disgusting that such a thing like this happened, and they are producing child sex abuse material kind of stuff, and this is absolutely reprehensible. This is absolutely, we cannot even think that people can go to stoop to such wrong extent. This is evil personified, and I hope such things will definitely be a landmark in judgment. And it is further noted from the media reports that the court has seized the cash amount and to distribute among victims in equal proportion. So it's absolutely depravity, absolute horrifying thing, and we should all hang our heads in shame.
Okay, all right. Thank you for joining us. Priyank, on the details that Bhavtosh was mentioning as well, adding to that, how did the Interpol track the data to a small town in UP, and now do the couple have any legal recourse?
Certainly, they can appeal before the higher court, Pratibha, but the fact of the matter is that every sentence which has been written, this is what we have got to know, although we have yet to get the order copy from the POCSO court there in Banda, has proven the prosecution's point to be very much valid. And look at the conduct of these individuals. So certainly it will be very difficult for them also to get some sort of relief from the higher courts, because looking at the kind of conduct which they have shown by repeatedly sexually assaulting minors inside their house while they were made the custodian of these minors, certainly it will be difficult for the defense side to once again prove the innocence of these individuals. That's why the lower court has clearly mentioned, the POCSO court has clearly mentioned that this is the rarest of the rare case. You can imagine that these individuals who were financially influent in Banda or the Chitrakoot, where he was working in the government employ, and to show it to all these minor family members that they will take proper custody, care of these individuals. The parents used to hand over these children to them, thinking that if the father is no more or the parents have died, then certainly the couple who were not having any children will take care of these child. But the story was not there. He was not only sexually exploiting these minors for the couple's sexual pleasure. These minors were being sexually exploited, and the videos were sent as an business purpose to different locations. That is the thing which is certainly going to prove very hard point whenever they will attempt to appear before the higher courts also. But because at this moment, certainly things are very crystal clear. The kind of evidence, the testimonies which has been recorded before the Metropolitan Magistrate by these minors has proven each and every point which has been mentioned by the Central Bureau of Investigation in the two charge sheet, first one and the supplementary charge sheet.
Okay, all right. Bhavtosh, Priyank and Adib, thank you for joining us with all those details. In fact, Adib